You may have heard and seen a lot of satisfying stuff on YouTube, but satisfying machines might not be on your list. This is why in today's video we're going to talk about some of the most satisfying machines you've ever seen. Be it industrial shredders, laser engravers, tattoo removing machines, pasta cutters, hydraulic presses, and even tree shakers. Let's look into all of these, and at the end we'll let you decide if they're satisfying enough or not. Industrial shredders. We don't know what it says about human nature, but it's a lot of fun to watch something getting torn apart. You can get a taste of this unique thrill with a paper shredder. But what if you need to break up something tougher than bleached wood pulp? In this case, industrial shredders can help. Industrial shredders come in many different styles, each with a different number of metal-toothed shafts that spin. Industrial Quick Search says that single-shaft shredders are usually used to shred plastics, while multi-shaft shredders can handle much harder materials like old computers, tires, and metal. They're often used in recycling to break down complicated objects into raw materials that can be used again. When a bunch of rollers crash into each other, they grab things that aren't supposed to break and shred them into pieces. As things are taken apart, they fall through a screen below the rollers and are sorted by size. If a piece is too big, it can be shredded more than once until it's the right size. Knowing that these shredders are used to reduce the amount of trash that ends up in landfills can make you feel better about enjoying watching things getting destroyed, but mostly they're just fun to watch. Laser engravers. Britannica says that engraving's been done for more than 600 years, and for most of that time, it was a highly skilled technique that was done by hand. At first, engraving was used to score copper plates so that prints could be made from them again and again. It's still used for that, but it's also used to add photos or text to products like jewelry to make them more unique. Personal object engraving is more popular than ever because technology has made the process faster and more accurate. Handheld tools have been replaced by lasers that are controlled by a computer and can mark, etch, and engrave any surface in seconds, from metal to leather. Earthweb says that laser engraving works by removing a small amount of material with a CO2 laser and watching how the surface changes. This is done instead of taking out whole pieces. Even etching doesn't take anything away. Instead, it heats the surface until it melts but stays in the same place. The best materials to use are glass or acrylic. Even though the steps are different, the end result is pretty much the same. Most importantly, you can still see a laser change something quickly and precisely, as if by magic. Tattoo removing lasers. Lasers can be used to make new images on surfaces, but they can also be used to get rid of old ones. In the past few years, laser tattoo removals become more popular among people who no longer like the permanent art they have on their bodies. In the past, dermabrasion was used to get rid of tattoos. This procedure uses a fast-spinning surface to literally sand away layers of skin. Lasers offer an alternative way to get rid of hair that may be less painful. Before we can understand how laser tattoo removal works, we need to know how tattoos work. Tattoos stay put because they're tucked away in layers of skin that don't usually move or stretch. Your body doesn't like things that aren't from it, but ink particles are too big for your cells to get rid of, so they stay there. The University of Utah says that laser tattoo removal works by breaking up the ink into smaller pieces that your body can easily get rid of. To completely get rid of a tattoo, it may take more than one session with a laser. This is because the ink needs to be broken down completely, and some colors respond better to laser treatment than others. When the laser goes over the ink, it almost disappears right in front of your eyes. It's pretty cool to see, but not very pleasant to feel. Automatic tree shakers. Even though spending a day in the orchard with your family might be fun, it's not the best way to pick fruits or nuts. You'll need a machine if you want to harvest as quickly and easily as possible. Automatic tree shakers go through an orchard and stop next to the tree they want to shake. The worker puts out a robotic arm and gently shakes the tree around the trunk until all of the fruit or nuts fall off. Instead of taking each piece of fruit or nut off the tree by hand, these machines can do it in a matter of seconds. What happens next depends on what kind of food was picked. When nuts fall off, they're quickly picked up by a second machine. But when it comes to fruit, you don't want it to hit the ground so hard that it gets bruised. Fruit growers use tree shakers that are made from a piece of fabric that folds out and wraps around the tree. As the fruit falls from the tree, it gets caught in the canvas, falls through a hole, and lands on a conveyor belt. Hydraulic presses. Like an industrial shredder, a hydraulic press is a lot of fun to use because it destroys things. There's a whole genre of online videos and even whole YouTube channels based on the indescribable joy of seeing something completely destroyed by hundreds of pounds of force. Of course, that's not how hydraulic presses were meant to be used. Hydraulic presses are often used in manufacturing to punch out or compress materials, but if we can figure out how to use technology for fun, we will. There are a lot of different kinds of hydraulic presses, but they all work the same way. The press is filled with a liquid, usually oil, and the pressure inside is raised by turning the liquid. Pascal's law says that as pressure goes up, a cylinder is pushed toward a plate because pressure goes up in all directions. Things that are put between the cylinder and the plate get crushed. Most of what determines how much pressure a hydraulic press can make is how strong its materials and parts are. A pressure release valve is added to let out any extra pressure and keep the press working well. This keeps the system from getting too full. When you crush cars into small cubes, too much pressure can be dangerous, but not when you smash gummy bears for fun. Pasta cutters. As the world has become more industrialized, the need for operations that can be done over and over again exactly the same way has grown. Automation has stepped in to meet this need. For example, making cars requires making thousands of pieces that are exactly the same. So it's good to have machines that can make the same thing over and over. Accurate machines that make the same thing over and over are important in many business settings, but they also have made their way into the kitchen. How else could you get macaroni noodles that are exactly the same every time? Automatic pasta cutters work the same way as other industrial machines, but they cut carbs instead of metals or plastics. In factories, wheat and water are mixed together to make a dough that's then used to make pasta. The dough is then put through different molds to make different shapes of pasta. Now things are getting more interesting. As the dough comes out of the machine, a spinning blade swings through the molds like a reaper's scythe. This cuts the noodles into perfectly even pieces. Every time the machine spins, lots of noodles fall into a tray. Industrial pasta machines make up to 1,000 noodles per minute. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more.